Part 80. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 791. Sister Sujingwo has always taken good care of Su Yang. Even before she awakened her memory, Sujingwo was the one taking care of him. Nowadays, Sujingwo's life and death were uncertain, and her whereabouts were unknown. How could Su Yang feel relieved? If it weren't for the many things he had to do after leaving quarantine, Su Yang would have gone to Kyoto to inquire about the situation. But before going to Kyoto, maybe you can go to the Jimin black market and ask. The power of the Jimin black market is all over the world. Maybe there is news about my sister. You should also go to Evian Villa to see Hua Shimiao, Zhang's Honggaiao, and others. The relationship network of Yaoang Palace should not be underestimated, and there will always be some clues that can be found. Master Su. At this moment, Zhang Qingshui next to him said with a smile, "You are so kind to concubine Xian, which is enviable." Su Yang came back to his senses, met Zhang Qingshui's gaze, and smiled softly. "If you meet someone who really likes you, maybe he will treat you better than I treat Fei Xian." Impossible. Zhang Qingshui shook his head and said, "Although I have not been in contact with men in the name of falling in love, I have seen a lot of love and love. There are few men who can take good care of their women and take care of their beloved women like you, Mr. Su." Emotionally, he even hesitates to act to cater to the woman he loves. Of course, some men who have no ability can still do this, but if a man has no ability, can he still be a man? Zhang Qingshui continued, "No capable man is like you, but you are extremely skilled in martial arts and still maintain such a posture. It is rare, so I envy Fei Xian." "Haha, Sister Qingshui, thank you. I believe you will be able to meet your favorite Prince Charming." Su Yang smiled, and then asked, "By the way, Sister Qingshui, do you have someone you like?" "It didn't happen before, but now, it does." Zhang Qingshui's eyes fell on Su Yang. His beautiful eyes were filled with affection and his love for Su Yang was not concealed. "Not before. Now there is." Coupled with this little expression of admiration, Su Yang is not a fool, so he can naturally see it clearly. "Ahem, Sister Qingshui, I have something to do and need to go out. Fei Xian has gone to practice, so I won't disturb her. When you see her tomorrow, please tell her for me. I'll be back when I'm done." Su Yang left a few words, then his figure flashed and he hurriedly left the Su family manor. "Why?" After Su Yang left, Zhang Qingshui looked at the direction he left and sighed in disappointment. She had already seen that Su Yang was rejecting her and was not being sloppy at all. Only Zhang Qingshui didn't know whether Su Yang refused because he didn't like him, or because he didn't want to regret Li Feixuan. "After all, my appearance is not bad, it can even be said to be the most beautiful thing in the country. Even if it is better than Li Feixuan, it is not much worse. There should be very few men who see me and are not tempted, right? Feixuan and I have known each other for more than 2 years. Feixuan is so good to me, but I actually miss her, man. Thinking about it carefully, I am so shameless." Zhang Qingshui murmured to himself, showing a wry smile. However, good men are very rare, and an excellent man like Su Yang is unique. If you miss it, you will really miss it, and you will regret it for the rest of your life. If Su Yang doesn't have feelings for me, then forget it. I won't keep stalking him, it's meaningless. But Su Yang and Su Yang have a good impression of me, even if it's just a little bit, I'll fight for it. Although I'm sorry to concubine Xian, I don't want to regret it for the rest of my life." Zhang Qingshui said with firm eyes, "If Su Yang likes me, even if he is a child, even if he has no status, I will still be willing to accompany him and serve him. I would rather be a phoenix tail than a chicken head. This is my, Zhang Qingshui, direction in choosing a mate. Su Yang, just wait, sooner or later, I want you to be my man." Zhang Qingshui thought to himself, and then went upstairs to practice. Today she just regained her memory, and with Su Yang's help, she reached the peak of martial arts in one fell swoop. Zhang Qingshui was extremely eager to meditate and practice to stabilize his state. As for Su Yang, he saw that Zhang Qingshui had thoughts about him but did not respond, so it was regarded as rejection. After leaving the Su family manor, Su Yang went straight to the Jimin Black Market without stopping. It didn't take long. 9 Gates Black Market. Now that Su Yang's identity is known to the world, there is no need for him to disguise himself as Su Xiantian and stride into the Jimin Black Market. Owner. Owner. Lu Hui and Wang Sai, who were guarding outside the Jimin Black Market, saw that Su Yang was very excited, and they all knelt down on one knee and saluted Su Yang respectfully. Well, get up. Su Yang raised his hand slightly and said in a calm tone, I came today mainly because I want to find out some news. Let's go to the back room to talk. Yes. Lu Hui and Wang Sai agreed respectfully, and then led the way, taking Su Yang to the secret room of Jimin Black Market. Owner. After arriving in the secret room, Lu Hui said excitedly, we have all heard about what you did in Jufeng Mountain. The master used his invincible appearance to crush the strong men from outside the region and became famous all over the world. It is admirable. Yes, the master is too strong. He disappeared for half a year and became a blockbuster without even making a sound, Wang Sai agreed. Okay, let's not mention these for now. Su Yang looked at the two of them, then went straight to the topic and said, I want to use the information network of Jimin Black Market to find out the whereabouts of my sister Su Jingguo. Yes. Lu Hui said in awe, I will check it now, and the results will be available within 10 minutes. Good. Su Yang nodded and said, sorry to trouble you, I won't let your work go in vain. You and Wang Sai have made great progress. After the ancient martial arts revolution, you have already stepped into the Shenzone half-step, which is very good. It all depends on the cultivation of the master. Otherwise, with our qualifications, it would be impossible to achieve what we have achieved now. Lu Hui and Wang Sai were flattered. Haha, go check it out. I will cultivate you again later and help you reach the peak of Shenzone, Su Yang said with a smile. Thank you so much, master. Lu Hui and Wang Sai thanked her respectfully, then bent down and exited the secret room, asking about Su Jingguo's whereabouts. A few minutes later, Lu Hui and Wang Sai appeared in the secret room again, their faces a little ugly. What's wrong? Su Yang asked with a frown. Owner. Lu Hui didn't dare to look at Su Yang, hesitated for a few seconds, and finally plucked up the courage to say, you have to be mentally prepared, your sister. Explain. Su Yang said in a deep voice, what happened to my sister? Reply to the master. Wang Sai next to him lowered his head and said cautiously, according to the information we found, the heroine god of war, she is missing. The last place she appeared is in Yunjiang. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 792. Yes. Lu Hui then added, there is news from the Jimin Black Market over in Yunjiang. In the past 2 months, many girls have disappeared inexplicably near the mountains of Yunjiang. When some girls were found, only their bones were left, and some were not complete bodies. Your sister disappeared near Yunjiang. I'm afraid. What? Yunjiang is missing. After Su Yang heard Lu Hui's words, he stood up suddenly, his eyes unusually cold. What is going on in Yunjiang? Why do people disappear for no reason? Su Yang asked with a frown. I don't know. The aura emanating from Su Yang's body was so terrifying that Lu Hui was so frightened that he fell to his knees on the ground and responded cautiously, I just asked my colleagues in Yunjiang, but they didn't know anything. Moreover, they also said that someone once went to the mountains of Yunjiang to check the situation, but they also disappeared mysteriously and there was no news. Lu Hui continued, based on the information obtained there, maybe the Emperor Long Xingtian will know some news, because it was Long Xingtian who sent the heroine war god to Yunjiang. I am afraid only Long Xingtian knows what happened in Yunjiang. 2. Long Xingtian. Su Yang frowned, his eyes filled with murderous intent. If there was really something wrong with his sister, Long Xingtian would die and no one could save him. The location of Yunjiang is south of Kyoto, starting from Jiangbei and just passing through Kyoto. In that case, let's go see Long Xingtian first. If my sister's disappearance is related to him, I will destroy his dynasty. Su Yang's face was as dark as water, and then his eyes fell on Lu Hui and Wang Sai, and he said calmly, "You two, get up." After receiving Su Yang's order, Lu Hui and Wang Sai stood up cautiously, their eyes filled with fear. Immediately afterwards, Su Yang waved his hand, and two powerful masses of energy entered Lu Hui and Wang Sai's bodies in an instant. Nowadays, Su Yang is very powerful. After injecting energy into the bodies of the two of them, he assists them in refining. In just a few minutes, Lu Hui and Wang Sai both broke through and reached the pinnacle of Shenzong. If they took a step further, they would become land martial gods. "Thank you, Master." Lu Hui and Wang Sai were overjoyed and clasped their hands in excitement to express their gratitude. Su Yang nodded, and then said, "Time is running out, so I won't talk nonsense. Lu Hui, prepare a helicopter to take me to Kyoto. I want to see Long Xingtian and clarify the matter. As for Wang Sai, stay here. If anything happens, let me know as soon as possible." "Yes." Lu Hui and Wang Sai responded respectfully. "I'll go out for a while and come back soon. I'll start the helicopter and make all the preparations." After leaving a word, Su Yang's figure flickered and quickly disappeared from the eyes of Lu Hui and Wang Sai. "Congratulations, Master." Lu Hui and Wang Sai lowered their heads and clasped their fists. Su Yang left for a long time before they dared to raise their heads. A few minutes later, Su Yang came to Evian Villa. Many doctors in the Medicine King Palace were not in a hurry to leave and return to their respective areas after the doctor conference. Most of them stayed and learned the 9-turn rejuvenation formation from Hua Shimiao while exchanging medical experiences with each other. After the ancient martial arts revolution started, and the world was in chaos. Many ancient warriors got unexpected encounters and suddenly became powerful, and the outside world was in chaos. So Zhang Hongyu decided to clasp his hands to keep warm. So many people have not left yet, and they all live in Evian Villa. There are simply many rooms in Evian Villa, which are completely sufficient. Hundreds of doctors study medicine together, learn the 9 transformations rejuvenation formation, and feel content. Since most of these doctors are elderly, many have gray hair, and some are on crutches, Evian Villa looks like a nursing home. At this moment, it was already late at night. The doctors in Medicine King Palace have basically fallen asleep. Su Yang came to a pavilion, sat down, and secretly transmitted messages to Zhang Hongyu's soul. Soon, Zhang Hongyu, who had childish face and white hair, appeared in front of Su Yang. "Meet the palace master." Zhang Hongyu clasped his hands and knelt down on one knee facing Su Yang, his eyes full of respect. "Well, get up." Su Yang nodded and raised his hands slightly. "Thank you, Lord." Zhang Hongyu stood up slowly and said excitedly, "Palace master, it is said that the descendant of the Su family who massacred everyone in Jufeng Mountain is you. Besides me, does anyone else dare to claim to be a descendant of the Su family?" Su Yang smiled softly. "Haha, I knew it was you, Palace master, you did a great job," Zhang Hongyu said excitedly. "Stop flattering. How is the situation in Medicine King Palace recently?" Su Yang asked, and suddenly discovered Zhang Hongyu's realm, and was suddenly surprised. "Your realm, half-step martial saint, have you reached the level of half-step martial saint?" Yes, the palace master has good eyesight. Zhang Honggao said truthfully, I have lived for countless years, and I am in the palace of medicine. I have taken too many medicinal materials in my life, and the accumulation in my body is different from ordinary people. It's just that I haven't been able to get in. After the ancient martial arts revolution, I seemed to have an enlightenment, and my realm was as strong as a broken bamboo. 2 months ago, I had already stepped into the half-step of martial arts. Zhang Honggao stroked his beard and continued, now, I can step into the true realm of martial arts at any time, but I don't want to rush it, so I delayed it. Very nice. Su Yang nodded with satisfaction, and then said, you have very good qualifications and have accumulated a lot of experience. It is estimated that it will not be difficult to reach the realm of martial god after martial saint. The palace master's judgment is good. I feel the same way. Zhang Honggao nodded, and then said with a smile, but compared to the palace master, it is far inferior. The martial saint is only comparable to the Yuanying. I am not a martial saint yet. The master can already obliterate the peak of the Yuanying. When I set foot on the martial god, won't the palace master be a master of overcoming tribulations that can kill the gods? Zhang Honggao secretly flattered him. Su Yang was very worried about his sister now. He didn't want to listen to flattery, so he asked directly, Zhang Honggao, among the doctors of Yaoang Palace, are there any from Yunjiang? Can you help me find out, is there anything strange in the mountains of Yunjiang? The hall master wants to ask, is it possible that someone has disappeared without any reason in Yunjiang mountain recently? Zhang Honggao paused and asked. Yes. Su Yang frowned and said, how do you know? Have you ever heard of that? Zhang Honggao said truthfully, this incident caused a lot of commotion. There were 2 doctors in Yaoang Palace who were natives of Yunjiang. Out of curiosity, those 2 people returned to Yunjiang, but they have not returned yet. I asked someone to inquire about it, and it seems to be directly related to the current emperor Long Xingtian, because Long Xingtian collected many energy stones and medicinal materials and sent them to the mountains of Yunjiang. Zhang Honggao expressed his guess, there seems to be strong people in that mountain, and they are not serious strong people. According to my guess, there is a high probability that they are evil cultivators. Long Xingtian and that evil cultivator must be connected, otherwise the resources would not be given away. Zhang Honggao continued, now Yunjiang mountain has been classified as a forbidden area. It is guarded by soldiers and ordinary people cannot enter. On the contrary, some ancient warriors and cultivators did not listen to the advice and entered to inquire. As a result, without exception, they all disappeared. Some people his body was even sent to the foot of the mountain. Palace master, why are you asking about this matter? Suddenly, Zhang Honggao asked curiously. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 793. My sister Sujingguo disappeared. The last place she was seen before she disappeared was near Yunjiang. Su Yang said with a serious face, with murderous intent in his eyes, and the air around him seemed to freeze. He said in a cold voice, is it an evil cultivator? Haha, I want to see how evil it is. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yang was about to leave. Palace master. At this time, Zhang Honggao said in a hurry, do you need me to accompany you? More than 200 years ago, I lived in seclusion in the mountains of Yunjiang for a period of time, and I am very familiar with it. The mountains in Yunjiang are steep, but the most fearful thing is the poison in the mountains, which is hard to guard against. I will go with you so that you can take care of me, Zhang Honggao suggested. Well, that's fine, then you can follow. Su Yang nodded and then left first. As for Zhang Honggao, he followed closely and left Evian Villa. Su Yang did not immediately go to the Jimen black market to take a helicopter. Instead, he came to Loxia Mountain and found Guoyi and Nangongyu. Meet the master! Meet the master! When Guoyi and Nangongyu saw Su Yang, they immediately clasped their hands and knelt down on one knee. Nangongyu had his memory erased by Bai Qi before and fell into a coma, but now he has woken up. Su Yang nodded and said, I'm going to Yunjiang. The two of you stay in Jiangbei. Be sure to protect concubine Xian. If anything happens, notify me immediately. Yes. Guoyi and Nangongyu nodded in agreement. They were extremely respectful to Su Yang and did not ask what Su Yang was going to do. After arranging all this, Su Yang took Zhang's Hongyo and left Loxia Mountain. After Zhang's Hongyo met Guoyi and Nangongyu, he became more respectful to Su Yang. Because he could see that both Guoyi and Nangongyu were far superior to him in strength. At the very least, they were at the martial saint level. If they were replaced by cultivation systems, these two people were at the nascent soul realm. Just two of his subordinates are in the Yuanying realm. How strong must the current palace master be? Now, Zhang's Hongyo is very happy that he chose to win over Su Yang and let Su Yang be the master of the Medicine King Palace. If that day, he got mad and did something unfavorable to Su Yang, I'm afraid Yaoang Palace would have ceased to exist long ago, and he wouldn't be able to have the strength he has now. Sometimes, choice outweighs effort. After leaving Loxia Mountain, Su Yang took Zhang's Hongyo directly back to the Jimen black market without stopping. At this moment, Lu Hui had prepared the helicopter, which attracted many people to watch. Damn it, that person is a descendant of the Su family, Su Yang. Oh my god, a descendant of the Su family actually came to our Jiangbei, ha ha ha. You know what the heck, Su Yang, a descendant of the Su family, is originally from Jiangbei. Do you remember the dandy eldest son of the Su family in Jiangbei? That eldest son is a descendant of the Su family. The Su family in Jiangbei is the Su from Kunlun Mountain. Home. Really or not, the dandy young master Su, a descendant of the Su family, is actually the same person. Of course it's true. People came from Kunlun Mountain half a year ago and took most of the Su family away. Now the Su family manor is empty. From this point of view, young Master Su's previous image of a playboy was all an act. He has been keeping quiet for more than 10 or 20 years, and finally stood up for the earth and defeated the experts from outside the region. Great, so great. I'm guilty. I used to despise young Master Su. Now that I think about it, I really deserve death. I'm sorry. I'll give young Master Su a slap. In the battle at Jufeng Mountain, young Master Su did a great job. He defeated the arrogance of the foreign masters and safeguarded the power of the earth. It is admirable. It's so late. What is young Master Su going to do on the helicopter? It must be something big. Do you think young Master Su will still be addicted to clubs? He can't take a helicopter and go to clubs in other places to be cool, right? Congratulations to young Master Su. Congratulations to young Master Su. Congratulations to young Master Su. The people who can come to the Jimen black market are naturally the ancient warriors from around Jiangbei. Of course, there are also a few cultivators among them. The 10 major ancient tribes have returned. In order to recruit talents in the past 6 months, they have recruited many outer disciples, so there are many more cultivators in the Qi refining period on the earth. Some of them recognized Su Yang. In the past, the ancient warriors in the 9-gate black market were not very strong, and they were already considered strong at the master level. However, after the reform of ancient martial arts, everyone's strength has generally improved. Grandmasters are everywhere, and they have even become entry-level. There are also many Earth sects and Tian sects above the Grand Master, and some have even set foot in the Shen sect realm. In the small Jiangbei area, Shen zone masters have appeared. This shows how huge the ancient martial arts revolution has brought to the ancient martial arts world. The people who dug the wells were very grateful to Su Yang. At this moment, the mountains roared and the tsunami roared, and everyone was sending Su Yang off. Su Yang smiled in return, and then boarded the helicopter with Zhang's Hongyao, urging Lu Hui to set off. Buzz buzz. Lu Hui naturally did not dare to neglect and drove the helicopter to leave the Jimin black market. The helicopter flew in the air, cutting through the clouds, heading towards the cloud territory. Su Yang left Jiangbei. The news soon spread throughout Jiangbei. Today's Jiangbei has gathered many powerful people, including ancient warriors and cultivators, countless of them. It is no exaggeration to say that almost all the old antiques that could not be hidden before came to Jiangbei. Because they knew that spiritual energy recovery would start from Jiangbei, they wanted to come over and see if they could get some opportunities. The weak ancient warriors and cultivators really didn't dare to come over. Only the old monsters who had lived for hundreds of years dared to come and find out. It's just that Su Yang left Jiangbei at this time, leaving them confused. Could it be that the place where spiritual energy is revived has changed? These people are unknown, but no one left Jiangbei rashly, but chose to stay in Jiangbei and continue to wait and see. At this time, in a dark corner of Jiangbei, at this time the day after tomorrow, the spiritual energy recovery will inevitably start. By then, no one can stop me from embezzling the source of spiritual energy. A man in black robe said coldly, his eyes filled with strong desire. The source of spiritual energy. In the firmament universe, there are planets in demand. Some planets exist for too long, and their spiritual energy is absorbed by a large number of cultivators and cannot be regenerated. There will be a phenomenon of spiritual energy exhaustion. However, Kangyu is balanced. After a long period of precipitation, a planet with depleted spiritual energy will naturally experience a revival of spiritual energy. What the Earth is currently experiencing happens from time to time in the universe. Every time spiritual energy revives, a source of spiritual energy is born, which is the purest source of spiritual energy in the world. This thing is very useful for cultivators. It is no more than a plug-in, allowing cultivators to break through at an astonishing speed. This man in black robe came from outside the territory and knew about the source of spiritual energy, so he was naturally concerned about it. Crimson Hongyu, Mr. Fengzi, you two bitches, destroyed my body, sooner or later I will repay this debt 100 times. At this moment, the man in black robe said through gritted teeth, and at the same time took off the bucket hat on his head, and then revealed a familiar face. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 794. Quilong. This man in black robe is none other than Quilong, who was defeated by Qi Hongyu and Master Fengzi a few days ago. At that time, Master Fengzi chose to blow up his purple gold hammer and cooperated with the Red Moon to blow away half of Quilong's body. With his broken body, Quilong fled in embarrassment and found a place to retreat to heal his injuries. When he came to Earth this time, Quilong was well prepared and had a backup plan for himself. He refined the body of the seniors in his clan, and his strength increased by leaps and bounds. He thought he could reach the Quasi-Emperor realm in one fell swoop. After all, Quilong Sr. had already entered the true imperial realm before he passed away, and his body was the most precious treasure of the entire dragon clan. Unfortunately, in order to catch up with the recovery of spiritual energy, Quilong came out of seclusion early and did not completely digest the body of his elders. But even so, his realm still climbed unexpectedly, reaching the half-step Quasi-Emperor level. If nothing unexpected happens, you only need to refine all the flesh and blood of the senior emperors to become a true Quasi-Emperor. In the past few days, Quilong's strength has not only improved by leaps and bounds, but his body has also recovered. With an emperor-level body, his combat power is much stronger than that of an ordinary half-step quasi-emperor. Even if he encounters a real quasi-emperor in his early stage, Kui Long is still capable of fighting. In Kui Long's knowledge, there are no strong people on the earth at all. With half a step to become a quasi-emperor, he can be invincible and control everything on the earth. The reason why he wants to snatch the source of spiritual energy is to prepare for his promotion to the imperial realm. With the physical body of the emperor as a foundation, my promotion to quasi-emperor is already a certainty. The corner of Kui Long's mouth raised, and he said confidently, if I get the source of spiritual energy again, given time, I can also set foot in the true imperial realm, and this time will not be long. The power of the source of spiritual energy is too powerful. After helping me set foot in the imperial realm, it can still help me climb up quickly. Kui Long said with a playful smile, it won't take long before I can reach the peak of the emperor realm and be as good as the flame dragon immortal emperor. Ha ha ha, by then, I will let the flame dragon immortal emperor see who is the pride of the dragon clan. Kui Long narrowed his eyes slightly and gritted his teeth and said, also, immortal emperor Yanlong has oppressed the dragon clan for countless years. I will also settle this account with him. As long as you give me time, let alone the flame dragon immortal emperor, no one in the universe will be my opponent, haha. Kui Long was particularly confident, and then murmured to himself, there is still some time before the spiritual energy is revived. I must not be exposed, so as not to cause trouble. The night after tomorrow, when the spiritual energy revives, I must not only steal the source of the spiritual energy, but also prevent the arrival of the flame dragon immortal emperor. Kui Long continued, now my strength is invincible on the earth, but for the Yanlong immortal emperor, I am still too small. Before I grow up, he must not be allowed to come to the earth and ruin my good deeds. After making up his mind, Kui Long, wearing a black robe, disappeared into the night. At the same time, the ancestral land of the 11 family. This place is surrounded by beautiful mountains and clear waters, with insects chirping and birds chirping late at night, the night sky full of stars, and the breeze blowing, so pleasant. Under this beautiful mountain, there is a deep cave. The entrance is very small, but when you go deeper, you will see a different scene. There is a large cave here with a wide view. When you raise your head, you can see the stars and the bright moon. Inside the cave, the displays are very retro, even the tables, chairs, and benches are all carved mahogany. There is no doubt that the little boy is the man who aspires to be a gangster, Suzeng. The other side. That's all right. Just be patient and you will always catch fish. Then you can come to the ice bed. Do you think it's easy to fish? In the center of the cave, there is a pool of water with crystal clear water, and dozens of fish swimming in the water, clearly visible. Suzing then said, hey, do you like it or not? I have a fishing line. Suzing cursed angrily and threw the fishing rod aside. Well, that's right. This is a fishing rod. Not only do I have a fishing rod, I also have a fishing line. At this moment, there was a little girl sitting cross-legged on the ice bed, holding the moon in her hands, motionless. Suzing cursed and said, I don't have a fish hook. I don't have a fish hook. Are you angry or not? Fish, fish, you bite the hook. If you don't eat the hook, how can I eat you? But what about me? Suyuyo was talking when she suddenly discovered something and said with a puzzled face, hey, Suzing, where is your fish hook? Has it been eaten by the fish? Above the pool, there was an ice bed floating, emitting white mist and freezing cold. That woman is so stupid, she actually asked me to fish with a line. Suyuyu refused directly, and Zao said that although the ice bed can speed up your practice, you need a strong mind to sit on it. She asked you to fish just to sharpen your mind. Suzing threw the fishing rod into the water again, gritted his teeth and said, I can't catch any fish even if the sea is dry and the rocks are rotten. The little boy has an upright appearance and is very handsome, somewhat similar to Su Yang. As Suzing said, he stood up, walked over, picked up the fishing rod, raised it higher and showed it to Su Yu, and said, "Su Yu, look carefully, is this really a fishing rod?" The little girl looks like 4 or 5 years old, with delicate and beautiful facial features, carved with pink and jade, and a perfect embryo of beauty. She is Su Yang's daughter, Su Yu. Suzing swore directly and said with a black face, "My fishing rod has no hook from beginning to end." Suzing fished for a while, and his temper became angry. He gritted his teeth and said, "You won't eat if you don't want to eat? You're swimming around next to the fish hook. What do you mean? You're trying to make me angry, right? When Zhang Taigong goes fishing, if he wants to take the bait, he will at least have a hook, but no bait." Suzeng. Su Yu, you talk while standing, no, it doesn't hurt your back if you talk while sitting. Damn it, it's so damnable. Be careful, you're driving me crazy. I'm going to use new energy, the positive pole in my left hand and the negative pole in my right hand. I'll electrocute all of you. Is it so difficult to catch? I see there are a lot of fish in the pool, and they are swimming around. You can't even catch them with a fishing rod, Su Yu said in confusion. You think beautifully. Suzing glanced at Su Yu and complained, "You were not born when I was fishing, do you need to teach me? You can do it, come on, I'll give you the fishing rod, you come fishing, I'll go practice on the ice bed. Grind the woolen thread, who can catch this fish?" Even if Zhang Taigong comes, he has to say F***ck, Suzing said unhappily. There was a little boy who was sitting on the edge of the pool fishing out of boredom. At this moment, Su Yu, who was sitting cross-legged in meditation, opened her eyes and said, "How can you fish like this? Don't be in a hurry when fishing, you will scare the fish away. Eat shit." Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 795. After hearing Suzing's words, Su Yu fell silent, and even she couldn't stand it anymore. Indeed. There is no hook. How can we fish? Do we want the fish to bite the fishing line? Which fish can be so stupid? That woman named Zhao is just a pickpocket and has a flawed brain. Suzing said angrily, "At first I thought she was pretty, so I wanted to stay with the beautiful aunt, but I ended up being fooled by her and ended up in this damn place. If I had known this, I shouldn't have come. It would be great to continue to stay in Jufeng Mountain. I miss my little wives very much now, and I don't know how they are now. I have been away from Jufeng Mountain for so long, and they have no more cuckolding me." Suzing raised his head and looked at the starry sky, tears almost streaming down his face as he spoke. "Suzing, what are you talking about? How young are you, and you are still a cuckold? You are not allowed to say such things again." Although Su Yu was young, she scolded Suzing like a big sister and said instead, "Is there a possibility in camouflage that Aunt Zhao went out in a hurry and forgot to give you a fish hook? Impossible. No way." Suzing shook his little head like a rattle, then gritted his teeth and said, "She did it on purpose. She didn't want me to practice on the ice bed, because she was afraid that I would become too strong and steal her limelight. Don't think so bad of Aunt Zhao. She is very kind to us. You said you wanted to eat hamburgers, but she went out and bought it for you without saying anything." Su Yu continued, "Aunt Zhao really just wants to temper your temper. Just catch a fish." "What a ghost, how can you catch without a hook?" Suzing complained with a dark face. "Let me think about it." Su Yu thought for a while and then said, "Let's do this. I have a key ring here. You straighten it, grind it, and make it into a fish hook. You will definitely be able to catch fish." With that said, Su Yu threw the key ring to Suzing. "Ha ha. That's great, Su Yu, thanks to your help, when my brother catches the fish, I'll make you some grilled fish as soon as possible. When Suzing heard this, he was instantly overjoyed and quickly caught the key ring. Actually, the fishing rod in his hand had a line set, a sinker, and a 7-star float, but there was no hook. Now with the fish hook he made himself, it's perfect. Haha, this is a serious fishing rod. Suzing was so happy that he hurriedly took the leftover rice from the evening, hung it on a fish hook, threw it into the water, and then adjusted it in various ways. Get it done, wait for the fish to take the bait. Suzing showed a happy smile and sat next to the pool, staring at Kixing Piao with his eyes full of expectation. Suzing, I haven't seen fishing yet, can I catch fish like this? Suyuyu also looked over and asked curiously. Sure. Suzing said confidently, see, as long as the 7-star floats and sinks, there will definitely be fish eating it. At that time, I only need to pull hard and the fish will be caught, ha ha ha. So this is a. Suyuyu nodded with sudden realization, and then said hastily, Suzing, the 7 stars are gone, hurry up. Fuck. Suzing was so excited that he immediately raised the fishing rod, but he caught nothing. Suyuyu was moved instantly, mainly because she missed her dad so much and wished she could run into his arms right now. Just now, when Suzing heard Suyuyu's reminder, he held the fishhook in one hand and quickly lifted the fishing rod with the other hand. The result was tragic. Boom. Suzing gritted his teeth and said, but if you stop me, I will jump into the pool. It's so boring here anyway, and I don't want to live anymore. Suzing was furious, and finally sighed and said, young master, I don't get along with this place. What a bad luck. When she mentioned her father, Suzing's face was full of admiration, with little stars in her eyes, and she said, she also said that my father went to Jiangbei. I will go to Jiangbei to find my father. Suyuyu, I'm leaving. I won't stay here any longer. When that woman comes back, tell her, Suzing said seriously. No, no, no. Even the fishhook was not in the water, but in Suzing's hands. Receive. I've made up my mind, Suyuyu, don't try to persuade me, even though I may or may not be able to defeat you. But the next moment, a formation suddenly shrouded the sky above the cave, and it was densely covered with runes. It directly bounced Suzing down, and seemed to fall heavily to the ground. Suzing reacted and screamed like a pig. After taking out the fishhook, he broke the fishing rod angrily and threw it aside. He complained, Suyuyu, what the hell are you doing? I still have the fishhook. If you haven't put it in the water, the 7 stars are also floating on the shore, so you can't see them. Are you stupid? When Suzing heard that Suyuyu agreed to leave, he moved very quickly and jumped up to fly out of the cave. Suzing reacted instantly and lifted the fishing rod decisively, but the next moment, he was confused, with a painful expression on his face. Suyuyu said quickly, I won't stop you, but you have to tell me where you are going, right? You're so stupid, hey, forget it. But he was not depressed at all. Instead, he was very happy because the rice grains on the fishhook were gone, which proved that there were really fish eating. Suyuyu came back to her senses and realized that she had done something stupid. She immediately said guiltily, I didn't mean it. I thought a fish had pulled the hook away. Ah. Actually. Suyuyu said, I don't want Aunt Xiao to be sad. If you want to leave, Suzing, just go by yourself. When I see my father, say hello to him for me, I tell him that I miss him. Suzing, the 7 star floating has disappeared again. At this moment, Suyuyu reminded again. During the day today, didn't that woman say that my father had already left seclusion and killed everyone in Jufeng Mountain, thus solving the crisis in Jufeng Mountain? But after thinking about it carefully, Suyuyu shook her head and said, no, I won't go. Sorry. No, Suzing, it's too dangerous outside. Aunt Zao said we can't leave our ancestral land. Suyuyu hurriedly stopped her. Aunt Zao is so kind to us. If we leave together, she will be sad. Suzing said harsh words at first, then picked up the fishhook and started hanging rice grains. Suzing looked at Suyuyu, and then said, Suyuyu, there is no danger anyway, why don't we go to Jiangbei together? The reason why the 7-star float disappeared this time is because, the 7-star float did not enter the water at all. Okay, then I'm leaving. Haha, that's a good sign. I'll let you swim around next to me and see how I deal with you after I catch you. The key ring was made of stainless steel and was very sharp after being polished. Suzing's cunning operation directly caused the fishhook to enter his fingers. Dad is so powerful that even the people from the sky are no match for him. With Dad protecting me, I will definitely be safe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 796. Tao Mao. She's such a loser. She even left, but she even opened the formation. Suzing covered his butt, with a tangled expression of pain, and gritted his teeth and said, Zao, I will hate you forever, you are such a stinker. Suzing, stop scolding me. If you scold Aunt Zao again, I will tell her Suyuyu couldn't stand it anymore and said in a calm tone. No, no, no. However, Suzing was very resistant and said in fear, if that Dio Mao knew about it, she would beat my butt to become swollen. Don't tell her. You still call Aunt Zao a hairy person, Suyuyu said angrily. I won't scream anymore, Suyuyu, I'm your brother, you can't harm me. Suzing started to play the emotional card. Suyuyu said seriously, it's younger brother, younger brother. Okay, my brother is my brother, as long as you don't tell that Diao, don't tell Aunt Zao. Suzing finally gave in, raised his head and looked up at the sky, and said in frustration, damn, what a pity, freedom is so close to me, but I can't get out, hey. No wonder that woman feels relieved every time she leaves. It turns out there is a formation above. Suzing said bitterly, she is so scheming. She obviously had a formation, but she didn't tell me, which made me lose my shit. You deserve it. Who made you want to sneak away? Suyuyu looked at Suzing and asked, Suzing, do you really want to leave? Yes. Suzing showed a hint of sadness, his face full of nostalgia, I miss my dad so much. It's been half a year. I haven't seen my dad for half a year. Hey, I really want to be with him and feel my father's love. I guess Dad misses me too. At this moment, Suzing looked like a filial child who missed his father. Then he looked at Suyuyu and asked, what about you, do you miss your father? This question touched Suyuyu's heart. She nodded seriously and said, I miss my dad and I miss my mom, but I have been living with my mom before, so in comparison, I want to see her more. Dad. A lot of things happened during this period. I don't know how Dad is doing now, or whether those bad guys took revenge on him. After saying that, Suyuyu also raised her head and looked at the bright moon, expressing her lovesickness. Turn around. Suyuyu's eyes fell on Suzing and she said, Suzing, if you really want to go to Dad, I can help you, I can break the formation. Do not make jokes. Suzing said with a face full of disbelief, this is the ancestral land of the 11 family. The ancestral land formation is so strong, how can you possibly break it? Hey, I'd better stay here and silently pray for my father. I really can. Suyuyu said seriously, the key to starting this formation is in the ice bed under me. I noticed it a few days ago. Give me half a minute and I can unlock the formation. TCH, who are you fooling? I don't believe it. Suzing curled his lips, his eyes full of doubts. Snored. You underestimate me, I'm going to show you how powerful I am. Su Yu's strong desire to win was aroused by Su Xing's few words. Immediately afterwards, she closed her eyes slightly and tried to decipher the formation. However, within half a minute, the formation slowly opened with a buzzing sound. Su Xing, you saw it, now you believe my words, am I great? Su Yu said as if to show off. I see, Su Yu, you are so awesome, I admire you so much, ha ha, ha ha ha. Su Xing was overjoyed and jumped out of the cave. Then he looked down, made a face, and said with a proud smile, but Su Yu, you were fooled. He, I'm leaving first, bye. Su Xing. Su Yu was stunned for a moment, then she reacted and gritted her teeth and said, damn it, you dare to play tricks on me, don't let me touch you again, otherwise I want you to look good. TCH, little sister, what are you talking about? I'm your brother. Just wait, I'm going to travel in the world. Next time we meet, I will be better than you, Su Xing said with great ambition. What? Walking around in the world? Su Yu gritted her teeth and said, aren't you going to Jiangbei to find your father? Why are you looking for him? He always beats me. I'm not looking for him, Su Xing curled his lips and said, looking like he missed his father. You. Su Yu was furious, and then asked, then where are you going? I heard that the young lady in Yunjiang is very beautiful, with a high nose bridge, light yellow eyes, and exotic style. I have long wanted to go there to see her, but unfortunately my mother was very strict before. Su Xing smiled proudly and said, now that I have the opportunity, I will definitely go to Yunjiang for a walk and pick up a few wives back. Su Yu, since you are my sister, I will also bring you a little sister and let her serve you. My master is gone, but the green mountains will remain unchanged and the green waters will always flow. See you again when we are destined. After leaving behind some words, Su Xing left the scene without looking back. Su Xing. Su Yu quickly reminded, don't get into trouble, it's very dangerous outside. I'm afraid of Mao Yao. My father is Su Yang, a descendant of the Su family. He is the leader of the ancient martial arts alliance. He is awesome. I am also a descendant of the Su family. Who in the world dares to touch me? Su Xing did not show his face, only his voice came out, and he even sang happily in the end. I once dreamed of traveling to the end of the world with my sword and taking a look at the prosperity of the world. Inside the cave, on the hospital bed, Su Yu was so angry that she gritted her teeth and said, if I had known this, I wouldn't have opened the formation. Su Xing, you'd better not get into trouble, otherwise I'll knock out all your teeth next time I see you. Su Yu waved her pink fist and muttered to herself fiercely, then said, I'd better practice first. When Aunt Xiao comes back, I'll ask her what to do and whether she wants to chase Su Xing. With this in mind, Su Yu closed the formation in the ancestral cave, then closed her eyes slightly and entered a state of cultivation. A few hours later, it was already late at night. Lu Hui flew a helicopter, carrying Su Yang and Zhang Hongao to the imperial city of Kyoto, and parked the helicopter on a lawn. Then, Su Yang, Zhang Hongao, and Lu Hui stepped down from the helicopter. Lu Hui, you go refuel and wait here. I'm going to meet Long Xingtian for a while, and then I'll leave for Yunjiang immediately, Su Yang ordered. Yes. Lu Hui clasped his hands in his fists, bent down, and responded respectfully. Well, thank you for your hard work. Su Yang nodded, and then took Zhang Hongao with him, his figure flickered, and disappeared on the spot. After watching Su Yang and Zhang Hongao leave, Lu Hui did not waste time and immediately contacted the Jimin black market in Kyoto to replenish fuel for the trip to Yunjiang. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 797. Su Yang and Zhang's Hongaiu, one is at the nascent soul realm and the other is a half-step martial saint. The two of them shuttled through the dark night very fast. In just a few breaths, they entered the interior of the imperial city. The imperial city is already heavily guarded and has many experts. After the ancient martial arts revolution, the strong men in the imperial city were generally promoted, but they were far inferior to Su Yang and Zhang's Hongaiu. Palace Master, my subordinates have investigated and found out that the strongest person in this palace is just the land warrior god, so there is nothing to fear. Zhang's Hongaiu continued, as for Long Xingtian, he is resting in Cunning Palace. Palace Master, why don't you go down and bring him here, so as not to disturb other people? After all, Long Xingtian is not an ordinary person. He has a distinguished status. If he makes too much noise, it will have a bad impact and shake the country's foundation, Zhang's Hongaiu suggested. Okay. Just do as you say, I'll wait for you here. Su Yang said calmly, courtesy first, soldiers second. If Long Xingzhen knows about Yunjiang Das Han and has something to do with my sister's disappearance, I will not keep him. At worst, I will support another emperor. Clear. Zhang's Hongaiu nodded respectfully, then rushed to Cunning Palace to find Long Xingtian. A few minutes later, Zhang's Hongaiu's figure appeared again, followed by a man wearing yellow pajamas, who was the Emperor Long Xingtian. Old Palace Master, you visited me late at night and brought me here. Why on earth? As Long Xingtian was talking, he suddenly saw Su Yang in front of him and said in shock, Su, you are Su Yang. It's me. Su Yang stared at Long Xingtian and said in a cold tone, Your Majesty, I'm looking for you late at night. You must know the reason, right? After all, Long Xingtian was the master of a country. He quickly calmed down, straightened his clothes, and said calmly, Su Yang, you once showed great success in southern Xinjiang. You are a person who has made great contributions to the country. I have already canonized you for Sushui. In other words, now that you are my subject, if you want to see me, you can come to the hall tomorrow. Why are you so ignorant of etiquette and disturbing my rest late at night? Long Xingtian said with airs. He. In response, Su Yang sneered twice and said, Okay, Long Xingtian, I have never been a Sushui, let alone become your minister. If you treat me differently, I will respect you. You and I will not offend each other. Su Yang Yu turned around and said in a deep voice, However, you have offended me. If you had not taken the overall situation into consideration, you would not be standing in front of me intact at this moment. Instead, you should kneel on the ground and talk to me. You are presumptuous. Long Xingtian stood with his hands behind his back and said angrily, I am the lord of a country, and you actually uttered such arrogant words and made me kneel down. You deserve death. Master of the Lord of heaven and earth, after heaven and earth, you are the first. Su Yang, if you dare to disobey, aren't you afraid of being infamy for the ages? Shut up. Su Yang said coldly, in my heart, family is the first priority. Long Xingtian, please don't pretend to be the emperor in front of me. I won't accept this. I came to you today to ask about my sister's situation. You'd better tell me the truth, otherwise I don't mind letting this country change hands. Su Yang said in a deep voice, You must have heard about my deeds in the past 6 months. I initiated the reform of the ancient martial arts. I am the leader of the Ancient Martial Arts Alliance. With an order, all major sects must obey the order. Also, at the foot of Jufeng Mountain, I can even kill people from outside the territory. With my strength, who in the palace can rival me? Su Yang threatened, You know very well that I have the ability to change dynasties, so don't force me. After hearing Su Yang's words, Long Xingtian fell silent and looked very ugly. He naturally knew what Su Yang had done and understood that he could not afford to offend Su Yang now. The emperor's posture just now was just to use his identity to suppress Su Yang. After all, the 2 generations of Sushui in Su Yang's family should be in awe of the emperor. But now it seems that his guess was wrong and Su Yang did not take his status as the emperor seriously at all. Long Xingtian couldn't help but reveal a wry smile. "Tell me, is my sister still alive now? What is there in the mountains of Yunjiang, and what does it have to do with you?" Su Yang stared at Long Xingtian intently and said sternly, "You have to believe in my eyesight. Even if you tell a lie, you won't be able to escape my eyes." "Su Yang, I really don't know about your sister. When did she disappear? Why didn't I receive any news?" Long Xingtian said angrily, "Now these ministers in the court are becoming more and more perfunctory. They deceive the superiors and deceive the subordinates, and do nothing. I will settle the score with them tomorrow." Snored. When Su Yang heard this, he snorted coldly, with overwhelming murderous intent in his eyes. He strangled Long Xingtian's neck and said in a deep voice, "Long Xingtian, I think you really don't want to live anymore. Su Yang, I am a noble person and I am above hundreds of millions of people. How dare you?" As Long Xingtian was talking, Su Yang's fingers gradually tightened to the point that Long Xingtian couldn't even speak. "Royal Lord." When Zhang Hongao saw this, he knew that Su Yang was really angry now. If he opens his mouth to persuade the palace master, he will definitely anger the palace master, and maybe even himself will be implicated. Then, Zhang Hongao thought about it for a while, then decided to persuade Long Xingtian and said, "My palace master came here this time with no intention of targeting you. He just wants to understand the situation and I hope you can tell the truth. Otherwise, it would just be as simple as suffering a little bit. My palace master and my sister, the god of war, grew up together. The 2 siblings have a deep relationship. Before my palace master rose up, it was the goddess of war who took care of him. It is no exaggeration to say that let alone the master of a country, even if you control the whole world, as long as you hurt the harrowing god of war, my palace master will never tolerate it." Zhang Hongao persuaded him earnestly, "The master of the palace really dares to kill you." When Zhang Hongao was speaking, Su Yang slowly exerted his fingers, and you could hear Long Xingtian's bones crackling. I can say anything." Long Xingtian originally wanted to muddle through, but now that things have happened, he naturally knows that he can no longer bite the bullet, so he said with difficulty, Mr. Su, as long as you don't kill me, I am willing to tell the truth." After the words fell, Su Yang let go and threw Long Xingtian aside. At this time, Long Xingtian was lying on the ground in a very embarrassed state, and there was a purple fingerprint on his neck, which was completely inconsistent with his status as a high-ranking emperor. But, looking at Su Yang who was insulting and threatening him, Long Xingtian did not dare to show the slightest anger, and even felt a little lucky that he had saved his life. "Ahem, thank you Mr. Su for not killing me." Long Xingtian slowly stood up and said politely. "It's too early to say thank you." Su Yang didn't give him any face, and said coldly, "If you don't explain clearly about Yunjiang, I will still kill you." "Don't worry, Mr. Su, I will tell you everything I know," Long Xingtian said in great fear. "It better be so." Su Yang said in a deep voice, "Tell me, what are the things in the mountains of Yunjiang? Are they really evil cultivators?" "Evil cultivator?" Long Xingtian paused, then nodded, and said, "Yes, he should be considered an evil cultivator." "How many evil cultivators?" Su Yang asked. "Only one person." Su Yang asked, "You and that evil cultivator should know each other, right? Who is he?" "This." When Long Xingtian heard this, he showed a wry smile, and then said, "Master Su, to be honest, the person who is now in the mountains of Yunjiang is the ancestor of the royal family Long family. Long Pingsheng, according to his seniority, he is called Teju. In Teju Long's life, before the ancient martial arts revolution, he had already set foot as a land martial god, sitting in the palace and intimidating the world. The Long family has been in control of the world for countless years. If it were not for the powerful warriors at the level of land warriors, the world would have been taken over by rebellious ministers and traitors. Long Xingtian continued, "You must be familiar with the ancient martial arts system, Mr. Su. Under normal circumstances, the lifespan of land martial gods is only 400 to 500 years. But my Teju Long is already 780 years old in his life." In front of Su Yang, Long Xingtian slowly stopped calling himself me, and continued, "This is all due to the fact that he embezzled the dynasty spirit of the Long family, so he lived longer, 700 to 800 years old, and he is still as good as 4. Middle-aged 10 years old. Teju was obsessed with martial arts. He had retreated behind the scenes hundreds of years ago and no longer interfered with the affairs of the court. He was just like the Dingai Shenzhen, who stabilized the mountains and rivers thousands of miles away for the Long clan. But half a year ago, after the ancient martial arts revolution, Teju's thick accumulation exploded, his strength increased by leaps and bounds, and he actually reached the peak of martial arts. Long Xingtian looked at Su Yang and continued, "The Teju, whose strength has skyrocketed, is not content with being in a corner, and has the ambition to annex the entire world." But at that time, there were already many martial masters in the realm, and there was even Wu Qingying, the first person in ancient martial arts. It is said that he had set foot in the martial arts realm and was extremely powerful. Long Xingtian continued, "Teju knew he was outmatched, so he did not join the world. Instead, he hid in the palace and practiced the Long family's forbidden technique, yin-yang dragon magic. This secret technique is like an evil technique. It requires the blood of a woman as a guide. It was listed as a forbidden technique many years ago. No one from the Long clan can practice it. But for endless years, there are always people from the Long clan who want to practice secretly, but they can't get in." Long Xingtian said, "But my great ancestor, who has amazing martial arts talent, actually succeeded in practicing and reached the realm of martial saint that day. Since then, Teju has become more and more obsessed with the yin-yang dragon magic, and he has been sucking the essence and blood of women. Most of the 3,000 beauties in my harem have suffered. Not only that, he also caused trouble in all directions, plundering women of suitable age from everywhere to improve his own realm." Hearing this, Su Yang frowned and asked, "Why did he go to Yunjiang, a deserted place in the mountains? How can he practice?" Long Ping Sheng, Yin-Yang Dragon Divine Art. Long Xingtian continued, "Although this side effect is not as painful as the ominous side effect of a cultivator, it is not far behind." Long Xingtian continued, "Later I inquired about it and heard from the adjutant of the heroine god of war that the reason why the heroine god of war went to Yunjiang was because she knew what was happening around Yunjiang and wanted to get rid of the evil cultivators in the mountains and avoid this kind of thing. It happens again." "Misunderstanding, Mr. Su, you misunderstood me. If a person who practices the yin-yang dragon divine art cannot stick to his original intention and blindly absorbs a large amount of blood in order to speed up his practice, it will affect his mind and make him miserable." Su Yang's whole body was exuding a biting chill, and the air seemed to freeze. "Zhang's Honggaiu, let's go to the mountains of Yunjiang." Therefore, in order to relieve the pain and regain my sanity, my great ancestor had no choice but to go to the Yunjiang mountains. "Yes." Long Xingtian smiled bitterly and said, "Although I was reluctant, I still did what Teju said." After Teju arrived at the mountains of Yunjiang, the side effects were alleviated, and he began to pick people around again. In just half a month, the number of missing people around Yunjiang reached thousands. Long Xingtian smiled bitterly and shook his head, "But among cultivators, how many can withstand the temptation of a sudden increase in strength?" After the two left, Emperor Long Xingtian looked at the direction in which the two left, with an intriguing smile on his lips. Long Sim Tien said with regret, when I knew it, it was already too late. Teju had already taken action, and none of the people who escorted the supplies came back. My great ancestor was like this. He failed to control himself, which eventually caused side effects and made him suffer. Long Sim Tien continued, I couldn't stand it anymore, so I persuaded Teju to restrain himself. After all, they are all my people, but Teju didn't listen. He even threatened me and even ordered me to send someone to send him cultivation materials. Long Sim Tien sighed and responded, the yin-yang dragon divine art, in addition to being contrary to the laws of nature, also has a huge drawback. After figuring out what happened, Su Yang was furious, because it seemed that something had happened to the elder sister, and her chances of survival were low. Long Sim Tien sighed and said sincerely, to be honest, I am very sad about what happened to the heroine god of war. Although the best resource for practicing the yin-yang dragon divine art is women's blood essence, things like old medicine are still useful, but the effect is worse. When Long Sim Tien was talking, Su Yang kept staring at him and realized that this man was not lying, so his ill will towards him was reduced. But his strength is too strong. After becoming a martial saint, he has already reached the peak of martial saint in just a few months. Now he seems to be preparing to challenge the real martial god. Humph, I, Su Yang, swear that I will cut you into pieces and let you experience the most extreme pain in the world. Then, the figures of Su Yang and Zhang's Hongyu disappeared into the night. Generally speaking, as long as you draw blood properly, consider the long term, and don't be greedy for quick results, you won't have such side effects. Long Sim Tien hurriedly explained, I know Teju needs a woman's blood, so why would he send a female war god there? Long Sim Tien looked at Su Yang, and then said, however, according to the records in Long's ancient books, there is a cave deep in the mountains of Yunjiang, which contains spring water that can suppress side effects. Zhang's Hongyu felt Su Yang's anger and did not dare to show any signs of neglect, so he responded hastily. Master Su, I can swear with my soul that I was definitely not the one who sent the heroine god of war. It was she who wanted to go to Yunjiang to find out what happened. Hey, the heroine god of war serves the country and the people and worries about the world. It's admirable. Hey, if you do too much injustice, you will be punished. It turns out that the person I assigned was Zhao Tian's, the god of war, but who would have thought that the god of war, the heroine, followed me instead of saying hello. Long Sim Tien smiled bitterly and said, faced with such a powerful man, I have no choice but to obey him. I dare not disobey his orders in the slightest. Long Sim Tien continued, Long has practiced forbidden arts throughout his life. As the current head of the Long family, I no longer regard him as a member of the Long family, and I do not want to help Zhou commit evil. So, you sent my sister to Yunjiang to deliver supplies, causing her to be left in Yunjiang, Su Yang asked coldly, his face instantly gloomy. At this moment, Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 798. After Su Yang and Zhang's Hongyu left the imperial city, they did not waste time, found Lu Hui, and took a helicopter straight to the mountains of Yunjiang. Now, Su Yang already knew the situation in Yunjiang Mountain, and he was afraid that his sister was in danger. That old man Long Pingsheng, who needed a woman's blood to practice yin-yang dragon magic, would definitely not let his sister go. Su Yang became furious when he thought of his sister's brutal murder, and wished he could appear in the mountains of Yunjiang immediately and wipe out Long Pingsheng. Palace Master. While the helicopter was flying, Zhang's Hongyu said fearfully, according to the information provided by Long Sim Tien, it is very likely that Long has at least stepped into the martial god in his life, and was also a half-step martial god before. This is comparable to a cultivator in the realm of gods. Palace Master, can you? He must die. Before Zhang's Hongyu finished speaking, Su Yang interrupted and urged, Lu Hui, Drive as fast as you can. Yes, master. Lu Hui responded respectfully and suddenly accelerated the speed of the helicopter. Zhang Zhongyue, who was next to him, saw that the palace master was so confident, so he stopped talking, and his eyes became a little more awe-inspiring. The master of the palace is not afraid of the half-step transformation into a god, or even the realm of god transformation. This shows that the master's strength must be even more terrifying. That's all. Lu Hui controlled the helicopter, cutting through the clouds and flying through the night sky at very fast speeds. At this moment, in the palace, a long time after Su Yang and Zhang Zhongyue left, an old woman carrying a cane and wearing a red robe slowly walked out. I've met my mother-in-law. After Long Xingtian saw this old woman, he immediately lowered his attitude and acted like a filial and good junior. The old woman in red robe nodded, and then praised, Xingtian, you used the borrowed knife to kill people very well, and you have a lot of intention. I am very happy that this great country has been passed into your hands. My mother-in-law is too generous. It all depends on my mother-in-law's cultivation, Long Xingtian said in awe. He called the woman in red robe Taimu, because this old woman was the queen of Taizhou Long Pingshen when he was in power, and she was Long Pingshen's matchmaker. Although Long Pingshen was extremely talented in martial arts, he knew nothing about managing a country. He was not keen on this, he just concentrated on practicing and never interfered with the affairs of the court. So much so that in the world at that time, it was the old woman in red robe who listened to the government behind the curtain and controlled the mountains and rivers thousands of miles away, laying the foundation of the Long family. However, as she grew older, the red-robed old woman chose to retire and leave her country to her descendants. Her relationship with Long Pingshen was rather complicated. Although they were husband and wife, they had never been on good terms. Long relied on the dragon energy accumulated by the Long family throughout his life to prolong his life and live to this day. The old woman in red robe is a cultivator, and her lifespan is naturally longer than that of the ancient warrior. Hiding in the palace, she has countless resources, has refined an unknown amount of energy, and has eaten enough medicinal materials to fill a lake. But it is a pity that the earth is ominous, and the old woman in red robe has never dared to set foot in the realm of pill formation. At this time, she is only at the peak of foundation building. Once, she thought about going to the Kunlun Mountains, leaving the earth through the ancient starry sky road, and trying her luck outside the territory. At least she could break through to the realm of pill formation without restraint. What Taizhou Long has practiced throughout his life is not the complete version. Only Long Xingtian has mastered the complete yin-yang dragon magic. Kill with a borrowed knife? At this time, Long Xingtian panicked and began to regret his decision. Long Xingtian thought he was clean, but who knew that Taizhou ordered him to deliver medicinal materials and spiritual stones to Yunjiang Mountain, and there was a huge amount of them as soon as he opened his mouth. However, Taizhou was very powerful and was blessed by the qi of the imperial dynasty in the palace. Even the Taimu who was in the realm of the Nine Revolution false pill could not kill him. He didn't expect that Su Yang, a descendant of the Su family, was so strong that he even killed people from outside the world. Then, at that time, you only need to swallow that dragon energy, and your strength will increase by leaps and bounds. Because Taizhou died, he had many benefits. Not only did he no longer need to provide Taizhou with training resources, he could also obtain the dragon energy that Taizhou had swallowed before, killing two birds with one stone. The red-robed old woman looked at Long Xingtian and smiled softly. As soon as Long Xingtian dies, the dragon energy he embezzled will return to the imperial city on its own. Just when Long Xingtian had a headache, news from Jufeng Mountain came. I'm afraid that old guy Long Pingshen will be doomed this time. Su Yang can kill everyone in Jufeng Mountain. He must have an unexpected trump card. It was just because there were 2 missing pages that Taizhou used women's blood to make up for the lack of yin-yang dragon magic. Moreover, the old woman in red robe tore out 2 pages from the ancient book on the yin-yang dragon divine art, and they were the 2 most important pages. But by chance, the old woman in red robe met the old master of Tianji sect, who told her that in the near future, the earth will usher in a revival of spiritual energy. The old woman in red robe continued, moreover, as long as Longping dies, you will be the only one in the world who can practice the yin and yang dragon divine art. Xin Tian, you must not let your mother down, practice hard and climb to the top. Therefore, the red-robed old woman stayed and lurked in the palace, practicing and refining the medicinal materials and spirit stones to lay a solid foundation so that her strength could increase by leaps and bounds after the spiritual energy was revived in the future. But, how can we attract Su Yang? Taiju simply used women's blood to make up for it, but it was flawed, and he was eventually troubled by pain, so he went to the Yunjiang mountains to suppress the rioting qi and blood in his body. Even in the end, Taiju's strength increased rapidly, and he was about to reach the realm of the god of war. Long Xingtian had the idea of killing someone with a borrowed knife, and planned to use Su Yang to kill Taiju Long Sheng. Good. By then, all cultivators can step into the realm of elixir formation and no longer endure the ominous troubles. Even at the beginning of the recovery of the Earth's spiritual energy, the spiritual energy is very rich, far exceeding those in the star fields outside the territory. Long Xingtian also practiced the yin-yang dragon divine art, even earlier than Long had practiced it in his life. Long Xingtian's body ached endlessly, these were accumulated by the treasury for countless years. Long Xingtian was secretly trained by his mother-in-law a long time ago, and her mother-in-law hated Long Pingsheng. But she always believed that fake elixirs were just fake elixirs, and she was just a cultivator in the foundation-building realm. Actually, the old woman in red robe has broken the golden elixir, and has broken it 9 times. She is a veritable 9-turn fake elixir. Therefore, Long Xingtian's goal was to kill Taiju. Long Xingtian thought about it, and then he came up with the idea of Su Jingguo. As long as Su Jingguo died in the hands of Taiju, wouldn't Su Yang go on a rampage? However, after the ancient martial arts revolution, Long Xingtian came up with an idea, which was to seduce Taiju and practice the incomplete yin-yang dragon magic, hoping that Taiju would become obsessed with the practice and eventually kill himself. Practicing yin-yang dragon magic does not require the use of a woman's blood. The real yin-yang dragon magic is not a witchcraft, but a superb martial arts. Certainly. Yin-yang dragon magic. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 799. Of course, Long Xingtian is a smart man. He knew that he could not send Su Jingguo there, otherwise he would not be able to escape the blame and would definitely anger Su Yang. In order to pick everything for himself, Long Xingtian ordered Zhao Tian's, who had a good relationship with Su Jingguo, to go to the mountains of Yunjiang. In this way, Su Jingguo will naturally know what happened in Yunjiang mountain. Su Jingguo has always been a chivalrous and righteous person. When encountering something like this, she must find out the truth. Only by eradicating the evil cultivators can peace be restored to Yunjiang. As expected, Su Jingguo fell into the trap and followed Zhao Tian's and others to the mountains of Yunjiang without informing the emperor, but was never heard from again. In fact, Long Xingtian had already guessed that Su Yang would come to Kyoto sooner or later, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. Mother, don't worry. I will definitely inspire you to expand the territory of the Long family infinitely. At this time, looking at his mother-in-law who was full of expectations for him, Long Xingtian seriously promised, sooner or later, I will conquer the entire earth. Small. The layout is smaller. The red-robed old woman met Long Xingtian's gaze and said solemnly, compared to the vast expanse of the outside world, the earth is nothing. I want you to conquer the stars and the sea, and sit on the billions of miles of galaxies. Good. Long Xingtian said excitedly, Mother, this will be my lifelong goal. The red-robed old woman nodded with satisfaction, and then said, the yin-yang dragon magic is one of the strongest martial arts I have ever seen. Even in the Jinwu Star territory, it is a long-lost secret skill. I am the one who has this kind of martial arts on Earth, never expected it. What I didn't expect is that this kind of martial arts is actually classified as a forbidden technique. No one from the Long clan can practice it. It's puzzling, the old woman in red robe said in confusion. Mother, as the emperor, I know some of the secrets of the yin-yang dragon magic. Long Xingtian said, it turns out that this is a secret that the head of the Long family has passed down orally. He is not allowed to reveal a word to outsiders, not even to his own queen, otherwise it will be against the ancestral precepts. But you have helped me a lot, and I won't hide it from you anymore. Oh. Long Xingtian's words aroused the interest of the old woman in red robe, and she asked, what's the secret? Tell me. This yin-yang dragon magic was originally created by our ancestors of the Long clan. Everyone in the Long clan knows that the yin-yang dragon magic is extremely powerful. Long Xingtian said, the earth has a long history, but the civilization recorded in history books only lasts 5 or 6,000 years. Before this, no one knew about the civilization and development of the earth. That was because the earth. Immediately afterwards, Long Xingtian said in explosive news, being reformed. If you practice the yin-yang dragon divine art to its peak, you will definitely alert the mysterious master in the dark. But then, she asked curiously, if that's the case, then why are you practicing secretly? And in every era, there will be people with extraordinary talents on the earth who figure out the rules of practice. But before this era, it was an era when the ancient martial arts system was prevalent. Hearing this, the red-robed old woman admired Long Xingtian very much and said approvingly, Xingtian, I didn't expect you to have such great ambitions, and I chose you in vain. I don't accept it, I won't give in. I want to fight with the people behind it. I want to change the pattern of heaven and earth so that the big hands from 9 days away will no longer dare to change the fate of the earth at will. The old woman in red robe did not hide anything and said, some star regions follow the cultivation system, and the immortal emperor is the top powerhouse. Some star regions follow the ancient martial arts system. The energy generated by the ancient martial arts you practice, are the same. Good. It's just that I suddenly thought of something. Since the Earth has epical reincarnation, does it mean that other star regions also have reincarnations of innovation? The old woman in red robe suddenly guessed. Long Xingtian continued, so he left behind and preserved the secrets of the yin-yang dragon magic and the reincarnation of the era in a special method, thus avoiding the destruction of the era. Long Xingtian said proudly, at that time, my ancestor of the Long family swept across the world and ruled most of the earth with the yin and yang dragon magic. No one was the opponent of my ancestor. Long Xingtian seemed to have thought of something, and asked in surprise, why do you know so much about the outside world? Long Xingtian's eyes were burning, he raised his head and looked up at the starry sky, gritted his teeth and said, why do I have top-level martial arts, but I can't practice it? Why do I have to accept the reincarnation of the times when I was born on Earth? This, Mother. The basic environment is almost the same, but the cultivation system is different. Some star regions are good at technology, and use technology to strengthen themselves, and they can even be comparable to those in the imperial realm. Innovation. The old woman in red robe murmured to herself, the Earth in this era is different from the past. Someone has tampered with it? Perhaps the destruction of the era will end in this era. If that's the case, then just go ahead and do it. The future will definitely be a time of great contention. Long Xingtian continued, according to the news passed down by the Long family, there have been 2 recent innovations on the earth. First, the cultivation system prevailed. After the Earth's cultivators reach the top, there will be mysterious hands that will destroy the Earth and start a new era. The old woman in red robe continued, no matter how talented and beautiful the genius is, he cannot break through the imperial realm and seek the next realm. The old woman in red robe suddenly realized something, as if she had thought of something, a glimmer of light flashed in her eyes. Because, I'm not willing to give in. It's just that no one can break through the last barrier, regardless of the ancient martial arts system, the cultivation system, or the technological route. As he spoke, Long Xingtian's eyes were firm, full of unyielding and confidence. My father told me all this on the day I became the emperor. Long Xingtian continued, and I was told not to practice the yin-yang dragon magic kung fu unless absolutely necessary. Although this martial art is extremely powerful, it will speed up the transformation of the earth. When she mentioned this matter, the corners of the red-robed old woman's mouth slightly raised. She did not hide it, but revealed a huge secret. Long Xingtian wondered, Mother, I have heard a lot about things outside the realm these days. What is the environment like in other star realms? Is it the same as the Earth? Other star fields? I believe that with the help of yin-yang dragon magic, I will eventually be able to do all this and let the reputation of my dragon clan spread throughout the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Era. In other words, this should be regarded as the destruction of an era, and then the birth of a new era, and the cycle repeats. Long Xingtian said, so, I have not dared to practice all this time. If the earth is reformed, won't the immortal dynasty that I, the Long family, work so hard to establish, be destroyed? But our ancestors still feel uneasy, always feeling that a disaster is coming to the earth. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 800. Late at night, in the palace. Long Xingtian looked at his mother-in-law expectantly, eager to hear her answer. Because I am an outsider. The old woman in red robe smiled softly, and then said, Xingtian, hundreds of years have passed, and you are the one closest to me in martial arts talent among my descendants. There are some things that I can tell you, but you have to remember. Don't tell anyone else. Remember, no one can tell it. Your great ancestor is the only one who knows my true identity. You are the second one. The old man in red robe said with a playful smile, however, that old thing is about to be wiped out, and you are still the only one who knows my identity. Don't worry, mother, I will keep my mouth shut, Long Xingtian said solemnly. The old woman in red robe nodded, then fell into memories, and said, I come from the Jinwu Star territory, and my name is Hongfu. The Jinwu Star territory is a star territory dominated by the ancient martial arts system. Most people use martial arts to enter the Tao, break mountains and rocks, and practice to the peak. They can even move mountains and seas. It's so terrifying. Hongfu continued, I started from a humble beginning, and with my demon-like talent, I grew up rapidly. Countless years ago, I reached the realm of the martial emperor. Now the person who is sending masters to the earth and plans to attack the earth is the flame dragon immortal emperor. Hongfu said disdainfully, back then, he went to the Jinwu Star territory, and I fought against him. At that time, I was evenly matched with him without using all my strength. If I had used all my strength, I would definitely be able to kill him within 50 rounds. It turns out that Temu is so strong, Long Xingtian said in disbelief. Yeah, I used to be really strong. Hongfu smiled, then his face turned ugly, and he gritted his teeth and said, but I met the enemy of my life. I fought with him and was defeated miserably. I finally gave up my body and barely managed to save my life. What, mother, you are already the martial emperor, and there is still someone who can defeat you, Long Xingtian said in shock. Hongfu nodded and then said, that person is very famous in the universe. Her name is Qing Huang Empress. She follows the cultivation system and has reached the pinnacle of the imperial realm. She could have killed me. Even if my soul left my body, she could still kill me. Hongfu continued, but she didn't do that. Instead, she told me that the earth would have the opportunity to break through the imperial realm. She told me that if I had an idea, I should go to the earth. She also said that she would also come to the earth to find a legendary opportunity. I don't know if what she said is true or not, but I usually act arrogantly, kill people like crazy, and have made many enemies in the universe. If it was normal, it wouldn't matter. I'm not afraid, but I was seriously injured by the Qing Huang Empress, leaving only a trace of my soul. I had no choice but to follow what the Qing Huang Empress said and fled to the earth to hide. Hongfu said, I looked for a newborn baby, because the baby's soul power is the weakest and is suitable for taking the body. In this way, I succeeded in taking the body and was reborn. A skinny camel is bigger than a horse. I relied on the experience of my previous life to rise and become stronger. Hongfu continued, it's just that in this life, I didn't follow the ancient martial arts system, but the cultivation system. I, Hongfu, will never be weaker than anyone else in my life. I will get up wherever I fall. Hongfu gritted his teeth and said, since Empress Qing Huang defeated me with cultivation methods, then I will enter the world with cultivation methods and use the system she is best at to defeat her. I know that in the near future, the earth will definitely usher in a revival of spiritual energy. After I step into the foundation building realm, I will need to accumulate a large amount of medicinal materials and spiritual stones. Only after the spiritual energy recovers can I become a blockbuster. Hongfu continued, so, I came to the palace. At that time, your Taizhu Long Shengsheng was the emperor. I went to him to explain everything, and even used force to suppress him. At that time, I was already a 9-turn fake elixir, and at the same level, I was basically invincible. Hongfu said, I said that I would protect the Long family, but in exchange, he has to provide me with medicinal materials and spiritual stones. Under my coercion and inducement, Long Pingsheng agreed. At that time, Long Pingsheng was gentle, well-educated, and a handsome young man. When Hongfu said this, he rarely showed a smile. After I lived in the palace, he found me and got close to me every now and then. Slowly, I realized that he was pursuing me. I, Hongfu, the martial emperor, never knew what love was. He knew that I understood the ancient martial arts system, so he asked me for advice. My advice was of great benefit to him. From then on, he became even more obsessed with me and was almost inseparable from me. I taught him martial arts and he took me to travel around. Just like that, we were together, and we were very happy for more than 10 years. We made a promise that we would never leave each other for the rest of our lives. We would depend on each other for life and death. Hongfu then said through gritted teeth, but these so-called oaths are meaningless. Men always like the new and hate the old. Some new people laugh, and some old people cry. Hongfu said angrily, we have been together for a long time, and his martial arts has reached the peak of land martial arts. That was the highest state that ancient warriors could reach before the ancient martial arts revolution. Since then, he has been tired of me. Always avoiding me and deliberately not meeting me. Even when I was pregnant and giving birth, he was having sex with other women. Hongfu gritted his teeth and said, this made me unbearable. After learning about this, I immediately deposed him as the emperor and put him under house arrest in the harem. At that time, my children had not yet grown up. In order to collect the world's resources, I listened behind the curtain and controlled the government. Hongfu sneered and said, everyone thinks that Long Pingsheng ignored the government affairs because he was addicted to martial arts. In fact, he was put under house arrest by me. What? Long Xingtian wondered, Mother, since you have the strength to kill him, why don't you just kill him? Why did you let me use the incomplete yin-yang dragon magic to kill him? Haha, I didn't know the secret of your dragon clan at that time. I thought the yin-yang dragon divine art had some drawbacks, so I planned to let that old guy give it a try. Hongfu continued, also, I still can't bear to do it myself. After saying that, Hongfu sighed and said, hey, after all, we have lived together for hundreds of years, hundreds of years. Long Xingtian did not continue to ask. He could probably understand Taimu's mood and asked instead, in that case, Taimu, over at the Yunjiang Mountains, we need to go over and help. No. Hongfu said decisively, that old guy deserves to die. I am reluctant to kill him, but Su Yang is willing to kill him. But he is my husband after all. If Su Yang kills him, I will kill Su Yang, and he can die in peace, Hongfu said. Long Xingtian nodded and agreed with his mother-in-law's decision. A few hours later, it was daybreak. Su Yang and his party finally reached the depths of the Yunjiang Mountains and jumped out of the helicopter.